But you know what? I'm excited because we have some guests coming up.
Yes.
For given that we are in a time, even though we're in this pandemic, we're all, for those of us who are looking to make or break it in Hollywood, all of us are stand-ups, and those who are acting, one of the things, I don't want to over politicize this idea, but part of why I even came to show business was this idea of representation. Yes. But the thing is, even if you want to politicize the idea of representation, you got to break in. You still got to break in. You got to get the jobs. You got to get the agents. And I think we have some amazing guests that are going to talk to us about it, Stacey.
So we're gonna play some stuff really quick, and we're gonna bring our guest on. All right, here we go.
I signed up for Lesley's comedy class because I've always had a fear of doing stand-up comedy, and I thought, if I can do this, I can do anything.
Hey, so the Fresh Faces class is a class that takes people who've never done stand-up to the stage at the Hollywood Improv in 5 weeks. The real principle behind my whole class is if somebody else can do your set, it's not your set.
Cody, what's it been like taking the Fresh Faces class?
Well, she grew up in a small town, many miles from here, to humble beginnings, and she just teaches stand-up like something out of a book that I read once that I was really impressed with.
There's a curriculum I've developed over the last 10 years that is, I don't want to say foolproof, but there's no way to fail. A lot of times people are taking class because they've done stand-up before and they want to polish up their skills, but a lot of people are really taking it for self-esteem and to have their voice heard. And my real feeling is if you have a life, you're funny.
And we're married,
so we took it together. Yes. And we're very happy we took the class. It was awesome.
Not in our marriage, but in in the class, we were really happy.
No.
So here's how tonight works. We're here at the Improv, and the show starts at 7:30. These students have never been in front of a live crowd, and they're getting on stage for the first time. So they show up, I help them learn mic technique, we run through a couple things, and then it's free falling, baby. It's fun, and usually people are like, dude, that changed my whole perspective on everything. It's like a thrill. It's an extreme sport.
I got one message that said, in misspelled text speak, which is so hot. The letter R, interested, lots of R's. Are interested, one nightstand, all one word, like a bedside table. And then, I love you, at the end of it. Are interested, one nightstand, I love you. It's like, wow. Obviously, I was very interested. Who wouldn't be interested, seriously, to find somebody who's both looking for casual sex and also aggressively dumb.
And Meg Ryan comes out and acts out what a woman's orgasm is supposed to look like in that coffee shop, and it looks like something fun and exciting that you would aspire to see. Meg Ryan is bullshit. And I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt because here's the thing, and I don't want to embarrass anyone with my sexual prowess and exploits, but a couple years ago, I saw a real orgasm, and that shit is fucking terrifying.
You've been an amazing crowd. Please join the Fresh Faces page on Facebook, and if you saw this tonight and you thought, hey, I could do that, email me at lesleywolff@gmail.com and we will hook you up for the next class. Thank you for being great. The next show here is on April 3rd. Please come on by.
Hi, I'm Monika Casey. I'm an actress, producer, stand-up comic, and C+ mom. Here's the deal. Whether you're new to LA or even thinking about moving here, my course will turn you into the hot new latte that everyone's talking about. It really doesn't matter how much theatrical training you've had, nothing prepares you for the wild business side of living in Los Angeles and becoming the CEO of you. This course is gonna give you insider tips from my own trial and error of living in Los Angeles. You're gonna learn from a Q&A with some of my successful friends who are constantly booking. We'll help you find reps and build a relationship garden. Be audition ready the second you hit town. Beginner's mistakes can set you back years in LA. and that's a lot of waiting tables. So load up your bra or boxer briefs full of crystals, and let's get you close-up ready. This course is about getting you prepped and polished, like a vegan's asshole.
All right, let's welcome Lesley Wolff and Monika Casey.
First of all, thank you for showing something that was 10 years ago. It was so fun seeing the young people. Hi, Dana.
Hey there, and just they with the long A is what I always say, and I love that clip though, like because I feel like, to be honest, I feel like those people, like even though like I'm moving, but I feel like those people, you have all this stuff, and that the reflection of a teacher that can bring it out of you, I think is just that's a beautiful feeling. I was talking earlier about teaching kids multiplication tables. There's nothing like being able to see the fruit of your work.
Oh, that's so true. I don't want to take it for Monika and myself, but we both have around 5 or 6 year old kids. So seeing what the teacher's having to do all day long on the computer, you're just like, how is that person not jumping off of a building? So that's amazing.
Seriously.
So, brief introduction. Lesley Wolff is an incredible casting director and comedy stand-up teacher. And I love her because she's actually incredible as a teacher. Monika Casey is an incredible actress, producer, and co-host to Jeff Lewis Live, and also a great teacher. It was a pleasure, and I'm so happy that they're here with us. But I definitely wanted to get into it. Now, you guys, how long have you been in the business, both of you?
So you want to go first? Well, I will say it is funny. I joked about that being 10 years old, but in that clip, I said I've been doing it for 10 years, and now I have been doing it for 20 years. So I started doing stand-up probably when I turned around 28 or 29. And my mentor was Sam Brown, who was a fantastic mentor and stand-up comedian. He unfortunately died of pancreatic cancer, but he taught me all the ins and outs of running a show. And it was by running the show for him at Good Bar, which was this little shady bar on Sunset. By running the shows and getting to know all the stand-ups, I really learned the business of stand-up. So I've been doing it for 20 years.
Nice. I would say that I moved here and I auditioned for the Groundlings in 2004. And so I was there for a couple of years. That's where I got started. That was sort of my whole goal of moving here. And, but again, I moved here and I had no idea how to get an agent. I knew no one, living on an air mattress, the whole deal. And so, yeah, it's just, everything's just been trial and error. And, I moved here at a time when I was still really, young and partying and not as serious about it as I am now. But, everybody has their own path and you are where you are, where you're supposed to be.
I will say this because I've taken both of their classes and I've taken them multiple times because there is something about, and it's definitely noticed now, where you take a class and if your instructor isn't as enthusiastic to teach, then you're kind of not really into it. Like you're like, yeah, I'm going, I'm paying for it. I'm just there to participate and just bring in this knowledge, but not really be completely involved. There is such high energy in these two women that even through like Zoom, you're like, okay, I'm here, let's do this. Like I'm so focused, I'm committed, I'm motivated.
Well, I personally make an active choice to do that because, like Monika, I went through the Groundlings program and I loved it. I think it's a valuable education and so important. But I found that in the improv world versus the stand-up world, it was a culture of telling people who were worthy and who weren't. And I don't believe that. I genuinely believe that everybody is a stand-up. And if you have a life, you're funny. That's my philosophy.
I agree.
I remember being in classes with people where the teacher respectfully told them that they should not quit their day job, so to speak. And I've seen them go on to be major stand-up comics. My favorite story is of a kid named Johnny Walker, who I took the Groundlings with, and the teacher was like, honey, you're not funny. And he went on to be a political musical comedy success. And
also,
so funny.
Right.
He would always do.
The Groundlings did not accept Topher Grace. from that 70s show. He didn't get it. So there's another, you know what I mean? People don't, you just trust your heart and your gut and you go with it. You know, don't listen to anybody.
But I do think that those schools are valuable. And I, as a casting director, I really use all the Groundlings and UCB people because they're very well trained. But I do think one of the freeing elements of stand-up, and Monika will probably back me on this, is that you're your own boss, you're your own crew, you're your own team. So there's really nobody you're competing with.
And that's, you know, part of the hard part too, is it's all on you. So there's no one else that's telling you, you know, oh, you got to go to these open mics, or, you know, there's no boss. You're your own boss. So you really have to learn ways to develop your work ethic and hold yourself accountable. And another thing I will say about the teaching aspect, my personal rule is never take class from people who aren't in the game themselves. You know, there's these people teaching that, you know, did it 20 years ago and they have a lot of old whatever, but it's like Lesley still does stand up. I'm still auditioning. I'm still doing projects. I just feel like there's a lot to learn from people who are, you know, in the trenches with you and going through it, and they're your people. And they're going to give you, you know, what's going on in the marketplace. They're going to give you real-time information, not fake news.
Well, that's actually really true, because when I started, I said, I don't just want to dip my toes in. Like, I want to at least have some type of guidance and advice. And I made the mistake, and I mean, to a certain point, I feel like I kind of made a mistake of going into just, you know, instructors that didn't really have that background, that resume. And I feel like I did lose some of my money.
Sure. Me too. Over the years.
Yeah, but I mean, as soon as you start looking into these people that are still active, like their IMDb is current, everything going on, I've received such great guidance. Like, that's why I love both of you. You guys are.
I've totally done that too, where I got kind of stuck in a class for a couple years where I felt like I was there for 4 hours, like late into the night, and I felt like all the acting teacher was doing was name dropping people he's coached or worked with, and it's like, well, when are we going to act? You know, or so many classes that don't even teach you how to audition. And it's like, I understand that scene study and all those things are important, but you need to be able to hit the ground running. You know, you're not going to do a scene for 4 weeks. Like, they've already shot 2 episodes of your favorite show in that amount of time. Like, you need to be able to break the stuff down fast, make it your own, and deliver the product.
And how things are evolving, I think especially with the onset of social media and everything else, is how important branding is for actors and comedians, both in stand-up and in improv and in auditioning, because you don't have a lot of time to sort of let people unfold and see who you are. You have to let them know who you are within minutes. And I've been giving a lot of these online seminars lately because of COVID and because of Zoom. But what's been the most valuable from the feedback I get from the people is the most valuable thing they get from me is when I give them honest and harsh feedback on their reels. Because if you're going out there with reels that look amateur or don't look great, you're not going to get opportunities. And it could be as simple as just editing. I help her clean out her house.
Editing.
Dusty. Editing your set to give yourself a good brand is so integral now, where it wasn't 10 years ago. Before, it didn't matter, and I think it's evolving. I was joking with Monika earlier about some commercial auditions I got. I'm now in a category because I'm about to be 50. People aren't supposed to say their age, but that's true. And I'm getting these funny, silly character things, and I'm like, why not embrace it? I'll have fibromyalgia. I don't care. Like, don't be too proud. Like, if I'm going to be the chubby office worker wrapped in bubble paper, give me 2 levels of bubble paper. You know, like, it's being aware. And I think both Stacey and Monika sort of put their finger on something about good or bad coaches. I'm not sure there's good or bad coaches, but there's honest people. Like, people will sometimes take your money and be like, great, great, great. Or they'll be harsh. Stephen can tell you, I'll be harsh. And I love being harsh. It kind of fuels me to give people life-changing notes that could potentially help them rather than just feed them bullshit. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
people get testers for different reasons.
Yeah, and I feel like whoever you're learning from should want to help you. I mean, it was like life-changing to me when I started taking an acting class, and like a couple weeks in, my teacher came up to me and was like, hey, do you have representation? And I didn't at the time. And he was like, okay, see me after class. And he legit gave me the names of like 6 people to email. And it's like, those are the people that, don't have to, but you're like, I want to learn from you. I want to give you my money, because you're not just like sitting there taking it so that I don't have any skills to go on and not need you anymore. Keep this mentality that you have to be in class for years and years and years and years and years. It's like, I'm friends with people who go off and do a series, and then they come back to class for like a couple months to brush up if they feel rusty, and then they go off again. You don't need to be, under, constant. It's like going to therapy forever.
Also, do your research and see what other kinds of people are taking the class too, because a lot of times those people become your group and your people. Like, since I started teaching Fresh Faces 20 years ago, I joke around, but I say it's like a cast. You say, oh, it's not a cast, it's stand-up, it's solitary. But when you're in a group, you become friends with that group of people, and then you go and you practice. We're allowed out of our house. You go do open mics together, you go to coffee shops, you write together.
And that's the hardest part about LA, especially if you don't know anyone, is creating that tribe or that community of people where you can all help each other. You lift each other up. You run lines, you FaceTime, whatever you can do, to help each other make it.
And that's very true. I'm in 2 different like classes for stand up, and I feel like that's been the best part. We're all showing up for each other's shows. We're all running things past each other. We're creating, even though we're in classes, we're creating masterminds, in smaller groups to even run stuff back and forth. I have a question though. Like, I've been doing stand up, and I'm excited about taking like my first acting class in a gazillion billion years. But when a person like me I've not worked in TV, my priority is either is it audition workshops or is it scene study? Because I just heard what you said, Monika. What's my priority?
I mean, I think like my class personally is a little bit of a combo. Like, I give scenes from shows that are running right now, and I cast you in scenes that you would be auditioning for. And then you learn. So I kind of do a combo where I'm teaching people the sort of audition techniques and skills that I've learned and stolen from other people, or casting directors like Leslie have told me when we're having a glass of wine after a show or something like that. And I use that because I am combining everything I've learned along my journey in this town into all the good bits from every teacher I've ever had, and trying to honestly help people get a little bit further ahead and faster than I did. So I have a mom who has had like a child that's gone to college and come back, but she did TV 20 years ago. So it's like I can just help find your personality and help tweak it, and then just give you the little technical things that you need to just make it look like you never, stepped away, or that you haven't not been doing it.
That, because I was telling everybody, I had the classic LA story last year. I was Lyft driving. I pick up a director I'm driving to set in Chatsworth from like Silver Lake. So we have this long hour ride. Just on the conversation, she's like, I think you'd be perfect for this role. I'm going to get you in. And I got this audition. Now, I didn't book, but the first thing that frightened me was that this was, other than an audition for Let's Make a Deal, this was like my first real audition. And I'm like, I'm calling all my friends, like, okay, what do I do? I mean, they went with someone, but it just made me think, Monika, like, what's my priority, the chicken or the egg, auditioning or scene study? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so,
I think you can do both. I think that's the only, otherwise just more and more time is just going to go by. And I feel like LA is kind of like a casino. Leslie and I love to gamble. And I just feel like we're always just one hit away from that royal flush, and so it can, and that any day can be your lucky day. The point is just doing all the prep and all the work that you can, so that when in that moment you're ready, to be the best one, but then it could be like, oh, they went a different direction, a different hair color, a different age. There's all those things, but I think you can do both.
Got it. Like, I think people want to know that there are plenty of people trying to break in and trying to figure out, do I have, how do I do that? So thank you for that. Thank you.
And I want to ask you a question. Did you stay in touch with those casting people? Did you send a thank you note? Like, these are all, so anybody that goes on an audition, always send a thank you note, a little card. It can be blank. People don't get things in the mail anymore. So thank you notes are big. They'll remember you. Even now, it's never too late. Even if that audition was a year ago, just say, hey, wishing you guys well back in the office after the Rona, like hope to see you on Zoom soon or something like that. Just always reach out and keep these relationships going.
Yep.
But never send like a stripping telegram or anything like that, right? No, okay. Okay. I'm going to write that down.
And try to make your handwriting legible. I know mine is terrible because none of us write anymore. But try. Or have a friend write it for you.
Yeah, you want to stay in their head. You want them to be thinking about
Yes. Yeah.
I would interject one thing with what's most valuable. And I think if you get a big opportunity, the best use of your money would do a specific coaching for that part. So say you get the part, you have the script, you call Monika, you say, can I schedule an hour session with you? She goes over that session. I do believe preparation is 99% of booking anything, because preparation and fun. So you're 100% prepared. You know you've done all you can do. And now it's up to what Monika said. They're choosing what look they want or what they want. But there's really no magic way to get anything unless you have somebody pushing for you. Like when I was on Weeds, I had a great audition, except my friend Matt Salzberg finally put a word in for me. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's the reason I got it or not, but I had the greatest time on it. But the difference of getting it or not getting it could be, like Monika said, having your friend put that call in, or
or the note, the thank you for letting me
yeah. And you send that note. The best time is the minute you walk out that door. You go to a mailbox, you have that note read, or write it in your car after, because sometimes you can throw something in the note that like is funny from the audition, or like for my example,
throw in the note is a gift card.
No, that's only if you book it. No gifts unless you book it. But yeah, for After Shameless, I wrote my note, and right when I walked in, there was nudity in the episode, and for the role that I was doing, it got cut out. Bummer. Too much nudity for showtime. But when I got to the audition, they had us all sign a thing because of the Me Too movement and all of that about, we're not going to have you disrobe during the audition, and we want to give everyone a safe space. So I wrote something to the casting director like, thanks for making us all feel so comfortable on nudity day. And, I just put that in the mail, just little things like that.
Okay. Thanks.
I am always comfortable on nudity day. Always.
Let it come out. I know that's like the first thing I tell any like new reps I have, and I'm willing to do nudity. I'm not afraid.
No, you guys, I went in for a Snickers Super Bowl commercial, and they said must wear lingerie, and I was like, this is a joke. So I got this Notori skin color lingerie, and I went in and I was put on a veil. So you never know what they're looking for in lingerie.
Yeah, it could say yoga, whatever. Don't get in your head. Don't start talking yourself out of the part. That's what most people do. The minute they get an audition, I'm not right for this. It doesn't matter. I have met girls that don't look like police officers at all, and they get cast as police officers.
Wow. I will tell you guys, if you give a killer audition and you don't book that part, they still have that tape, and we'll refer back to it if they need you for a quick part where they can't audition or something. Yeah. And they're going to use that tape to show you for something else.
Exactly.
Well, I think I made the right move of talking myself out of doing the remake of Gandhi. So that wouldn't fly.
Right.
You never know, bro.
Now, speaking of auditions, what makes an audition, because you guys are all familiar with the casting process, what makes an audition stand out positively for you?
As self-tape or as in person?
Both.
I can take this one first. For me, not for all casting people, if the more prepared you are and off book, the better. If somebody is reading from their paper at all, they're not even in consideration for me. So if somebody is not prepared and off book enough when they come in to have a full scene with me where they're connected, then it's pretty much, not for me going to work. But for self-tapes, what I love is when people have fun. When they look like they're having fun and being creative and doing fun stuff with it, that's what I like the most.
Yeah. And also to add to that, a lot of casting directors are now putting in the audition notices that for self-tapes as well, they don't even want to see that paper in your hands. I just had a 10-page audition for a Lifetime movie, and it said it big, bold letters. And a lot of sets now don't even allow sides on the set. Shameless, wow. It was a no script policy on set. And I mean, even though I knew my stuff, I was still sweating. You're still nervous. Like I was trying to hide things in my back pocket just in case I forgot. I mean, so it's just be prepared. And if you don't have a system to learn your lines, you have to get one. You have to just robotically drill it into your brain so that then you can have fun. Once you know it and you're prepared, like Lesley said, then you're having fun. There's no way you cannot have a good time if you know your lines.
And just to be clear, it doesn't have that much to do with your lines or how much you know. They'll make a decision within 2 or 3 seconds.
Totally.
So make sure you have a good like your outfit today is great and your lighting is great. Make sure you always have a color that pops and for self-tapes and that you have good lighting. My philosophy has always been it is if you're going to go half-assed, you're not going to get the job. You have to go full ass to get the job. You know what I mean?
Full frontal.
Now, there's always this thing about going after roles or certain attributes that stick out about yourself that you have to push more, like Sofia Vergara is a sexy, spicy Latina. Michelle Rodriguez is this kick-ass tomboy. Seth Rogen is always the stoner Jew. Should we embrace that as new actors? Should we have like our signature, or should we just go for everything?
Monika?
I mean, I think certain things, yeah, like if it's a significant attribute, yeah, play it up. It can't hurt. It just depends on the role. But I feel like I feel like it doesn't work if you're just like, I'm an actress and I can do everything. Like I know, again, speaking back to your brand, like I know my brand is usually the like Real Housewives kind of snarky, whatever. And I just kind of go with that. And then if I have to be serious, I work my hardest to do that. But I mean, it's definitely like, you've got such like a sexy, fun look. And I feel like, make it work for you. Why not?
Whether you like it or not,
yeah,
people are going to start seeing you in a certain way and for certain roles.
And one of the best things I ever heard was be typecast. You'll be a millionaire. There's so
I
many
always
people-
get cast as the bitchy bitch or bitch lesbian or whatever it is. I love it. And it's so funny because I think I'm so goofy and funny. No, I never get cast as that at all. And Stacey, you're such a powerhouse and you're so fun. I was going to ask you why you went so deadpan on those voiceovers, but we'll talk about that after, the ones that you just sent me. I was just interested. Because it was a choice and I didn't mind it, but I was like, I wonder why she's doing that with what the choice is. I'll explain. But they were not bad. That was the choice. But
your essence is what's, even like in stand-up, it's like whatever your essence is, that's what's special about you. That's what draws people to you.
And you're also a teacher and you're also a old soul and a guide person. So don't try to pretend to be a cliche Latino, whatever you think that means, because you are a different foundation, So like what Monika said, be yourself.
Yeah.
I was going to say to the audience, Lesley doesn't seem like it now, but I've seen your reel and I saw the standing Karen face done so well that like, there's this one office scene. What was that? Which one was that from? Where you said some line that was really.
Money. That was
Siraj
Henson. That's my boyfriend always does that to me in the bedroom. He's like, they don't want the money.
Yes, that dude. That face you do right at that moment. Mwah, perfect.
Well, it's funny that you say that because a lot of times we fight against what our natural brand is if it's not, the hot leading lady or whatever kind of thing. But the trick is to really get a sense, like I will rip anyone a new one, and everybody knows that about me. So I always get cast as the know-it-all, Karen-y type of a thing. I of course couldn't be more opposite of that in my real life with my ideologies, but I can play that. So I hope that works for me with Black Lives Matter. Just kidding. But speaking of the real too, this is what I'm going to tell you, Stacey, and then. You just have to give a little bit in your reel. The problem most people make is put way too much, and it gives people a chance to not like you. Just pick the best second of everything. I swear to God, for me, I'd rather see that. People are sending me I did this showcase thing for Hollywood Casting and Film, which I love that place, but they really welcome in a lot of brand new actors. And I made the mistake of saying, I'll watch all of your reels. I got 200 incoming emails. But when people have these long reels where it's like montages, skipping through the field, I don't need to know that. I know probably can guess you can skip through a field.
And also it puts clips up on Actors Access, like nothing longer than a minute. Nobody has that attention span anymore. And same when I'm helping coach someone when they're about to submit to agents and managers, and I'm asking for clips and things, and they send me like a 3-minute stand-up thing. Usually that 3 minutes isn't totally solid, so I just pick 30 to 45 seconds. Like, that's the joke you send. That's just that joke. That's what's going to make them go, oh shit, I'm going to email this person back.
And it's like that George Costanza thing, leave them wanting more. You'd rather leave them wanting more. And the same goes, I think, for auditions and self-tapes. And this is just a little insider thing. I don't want you to come in and start chit-chatting with me about your life when I'm in an audition where I'm seeing 30 people. I want you to come in, say hello, do your set. And if I want to ask you to do something different, I will. But it's not social time. And that's so funny because a lot of actors historically have thought the more I smooth talk and have fun with the thing, the more they'll like me. That's not the right time to do it.
A couple of questions. I was in a boot camp for voiceover, and the person who trained us, that was one of the first things she said. She's like, don't go in there like chatting it up, whatever. Go in there with
voiceover, because those engineers have a lot to do if you're going into a booth.
And it was just for auditioning, but she was just like, even for auditioning, don't go in there trying to chat everybody up. Just go in there, focus on you, do you. I have a technical question about reels. You guys just spoke to it. So one, for the new person, how many clips and how long is this may be everybody else may know, but someone's going to listen.
I think if you're emailing an agent and it's kind of a cold email or a referral, again, short and sweet, just a couple sentences, and make your personality show up in those sentences. But I always think if you're a stand-up, you do a stand-up first, and then you just do one other clip of your best footage, hopefully something from a series or from a good indie film if you have it. And again, no longer than a minute.
Okay, everything.
Okay. Now, we're almost out of time, but I do want to ask this very important question because I know a lot of people were asking, and you guys are very familiar with it. And in case you guys have more questions, because we're out of time, hello, Lesley and Monika are here. Come on, I highly, highly recommend their class. But the question is, pilots. Everybody has some sort of pilot or script or something they've written. How do these people get it in front, put it in the right hands? What do you recommend?
It's interesting, Stacey, that you asked that, because what my class has turned into is to find your pilot. You know that. And I still want to discuss I don't want to give it away, but our EPO pilot with you. That's so hard, right? I could pretend like it's easy, but it's not. But if you come up with a pilot, the best thing to do, this is my opinion, not necessarily the truth, is make a sizzle reel of your favorite scenes with your friends from that pilot and shoot it to show how it must be made. Like another one of Monika's students who took my class named Ashley Singleton, we came up with a great pilot for her too. We did some one-on-one sessions to help her get to it, but it's really, really funny. And if you love your pilot, you can always use it as a writing sample. That's terrific. But in terms of making it, the only way to really get a show made is to have a literary agent and to get it to somebody and to do all that stuff. But the best way you could do that is build up all the aspects, build up your stand-up, build up your acting, build up everything to where you can go in as a producer like Monika does with your own vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I'm, doing that right now, and it takes time. You think things are going to happen overnight, but I've got a pilot that is with some great producers right now, and we're, getting it out to pitch soon. But we also shot, the sizzle reel for it 2 years ago. It takes time. I've been working on this for probably 3 years total since we started writing it. And so, and again, and that's me sharing it with every relationship in my relationship garden that I've built, and then passing it along to people, and then eventually how I found my producers. But even then, it's not overnight. It's a lot of yeses and nos, and, you'll learn to just keep asking until people give you the no, stop asking, but there's lots of
the best way to get it out there is to make something visual that you can show people.
Yes. Which you can do on your iPhones, You
could do a pilot for around $5,000 or less. And I made one for mine called Pet Friendly, and it was great, and we made it. And I never really pushed for it to go any further, but maybe I'll pick it up again and do it again at some point. But it's very hard to get a pilot made.
All right. Well, girls, you guys were incredible. Again, please, if you have any more questions, please reach out to Lesley and Monika. They are on Instagram. We have the links on below. You guys were a pleasure, and I will talk to you guys soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love you, Lesley.
Love you, Money.
Thank you guys so much. This has been the best. Our listeners can't wait. Like, we are excited for anybody who comes in for this replay.
Yeah,
I'm no longer afraid to go out for that more romantic lead role now.
you should.
Don't be. Do it.
They know I should not.
It's fantastic. Very Judd Apatow.
Yes. Total Seth Rogen.
All right, we're out of here.
Okay.
All right,
Bye,
thank
guys.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.